Hey there, Film Buds. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. I'm your host, Paul,
And I'm Lauren.
and we are joined by the one, the only, the fantastic friend of the show, Nick Delgadillo.
Woo!
It's a me.
Uh, so we are, of course, in October. It's our second episode in October, which means that we're doing our continuation of horror, and so we decided to invite Nick on. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Ready to rumble.
What have you been up to? Anything? You were telling us before that you were at a concert for a band.
Yeah, I was at a Turnstile show last night. Sold out. Huge. Go check out Turnstile, man. They just opened for My Chemical Romance earlier this year. They're on a sold out headlining tour right now. They just got announced as opening for Blink 182 next year.
Oh wow, okay.
They're
Wow.
they're big time, man. Making it big. Crushing it.
No, not bad, not
Kicked my
bad.
butt. Kicked my butt.
That's right.
Well, I got to tell you, the atmosphere that you described definitely didn't describe sound like something that I was interested in attending live.
Well, it would be a lot more fun, like I said, if they had a bigger place. That place was not big enough.
That's true. But we're really good to have you, or it's really good to have you back on. We're really happy to have you. The last time that we had you on was to talk about.
Y tu mamá también.
Yeah, that's
yes,
right.
that's right. Thank you. Thank goodness.
Sharp as ever, Nick.
Of course.
Yeah, that was the last time that we had you on. It was a great episode, great movie. And I had remembered you mentioning a few years ago a movie being one of your, or a horror film that you really enjoyed from that year, La Llorona.
That's right.
And so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to add into this year, and I decided that I wanted to add in La Llorona. And ironically enough, it turns out that like in 6 days, Criterion's releasing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's great.
but yeah, so this whole episode is because of you, Nick.
Fantastic. Love to hear it. We love to see it.
What have you been up to, I guess, movie-wise and that sort of thing?
I've seen a lot since we talked about Tu Mamá También. I saw Barbarian not long after that. I think I said I was going to go see it, like on that episode or whatever. But
Yeah, I think so.
that's quite the movie.
Oh yeah.
I saw Blonde. That's another just stir in the pot.
Good.
What did you? What were your thoughts?
I liked the film, but yep, that's all I'll say.
Okay.
That's a discussion for another time.
That's fair. That's fair.
I saw The Woman King, which I really liked.
Nice.
That was a good movie. Saw Pearl, loved it. A movie called God's Country. It's a thriller. I also really loved that movie. It was
Okay.
really good. Do Revenge on Netflix, also good. So I've seen a lot of bangers.
Okay. Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about before we got too deep into the discussion on La Llorona was this year I have really enjoyed all of the horror films that have come out. You know, I've for the most part, a lot of the stuff that has come out has been fantastic.
Yeah.
So
good times, man. Good past couple years, 3 years. I don't know. A lot of good horror stuff has been happening.
Oh yeah, and so I was curious, and I was going to also ask you as well, dear. But I'll start with you, Nick. What are some of your top horror films so far of 2022?
Okay, that's hard. Top of the whole year, we got X. Loved X. So took X and Pearl both. Maybe the new Scream movie.
Okay.
Scream was very good. What else we got? What else is freaking come out this year?
Nope.
Nope, for sure.
Uh,
Absolutely nope.
Orphan First
Uh,
Kill.
no. No, I like Orphan First Kill. I wouldn't say it's top.
That's fair.
Sorry. I'm sorry to Orphan First Kill. I do like,
and,
Watcher. Ooh, Watcher. Put that on there, baby. Watcher's so
Men.
good. Men's pretty good. I don't know if I'd put it in my top. Men's good. Crimes of the Future, if it qualifies, I don't know if it really
Body
qualifies.
horror, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, like,
I
people find that sort
guess.
of stuff discomforting.
Black Phone, very solid.
Terrifier 2.
No, 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 not Terrifier 2. Prey, Prey's there. Prey's good. Man, a lot of stuff. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is another. That's another that I don't know if I counted as horror though.
I'm really enjoying seeing Morbius appear on one of these lists. That's one of my favorites.
Morbius, yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
that and the new Transylvania movie. They were like, what's a real
that
horror movie?
I'll accept at least its horror icons. Morbius is
just
Smile.
horrible.
Yeah.
I'm putting Smile on there. Smile is a lot of fun.
I haven't seen Smile yet.
Smile for sure. Yeah.
Would you put Barbarian in there?
Probably, yes. I'd have to. I don't even know how many I mentioned or whatever. I haven't done like a cohesive thing like I should.
Is there anything coming up? There's not a lot of year left. Is there anything coming up that you're looking forward to?
Let me see what's coming up.
Well, you look at what's coming up, dear. What are some of your favorites?
Black Adam, of course.
Oh yeah, classic horror.
Looking forward to it.
Classic horror.
Let's see. Movies that I really enjoyed this year that we've seen. Honestly, like I've really enjoyed every movie that we've watched this year. In the realm of horror. As Nick said, I really enjoyed Pearl and X. I thought that was great wombo combo. I really enjoyed how fun and weird they are, but also like very overtly sexy, which like horror hasn't been in a very long time. Let's see. I really enjoyed Men. Men gets weird at the end, but like I dig it. There's also like a lot of similar themes, I guess, happening with like Men and Barbarian as well, just because it's kind of this like this woman who is in a unsafe environment around men and like what that entails. But honestly, I really enjoyed both of them. I liked going into Barbarian blind. That's a fun experience. Honestly, that's how all horror should be. Like, just walk in and sit down and find out.
Will I be terrified? Let's see.
No, yeah, I think it made it scarier, honestly, than like if I had seen any of the trailers. Gosh, you guys went through like a whole list of things. I feel like I'm just repeating stuff.
No, that's totally fine.
But honestly, like I've really enjoyed the different things that have come out this year, how people have gotten like creative with similar tropes, and like refreshing old ideas. With the fact that Pearl is literally like an homage to the Wizard of Oz. Like I think that it's all of these playful hints that you can only do in horror, truly. And yeah. What have been your favorites? Gonna pass that off.
Probably my absolute favorite has probably been X.
Yeah, that's just what it is, man.
It's so phenomenal. Fun. It's so gratifying an experience. it's so creative. It's wonderfully violent. It's everything that you really want from a horror film. Nope is definitely, I think, one of my
Oh
absolute
yeah.
favorites from the year. I think about that movie every once in a while. Like it just sort of passes through my head. I'm like, oh yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Barbarian probably, especially because of how jarring that transition is. That's one of my favorite moments of the entire movie.
Openly laughed out loud. Just wasn't prepared.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on. I'm gonna toss Master into the ring. It's
Okay.
Regina Hall.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't realize Regina was still acting.
Yes, she's very active.
Good, good. It's fantastic.
She is very fucking good.
Noted.
So what's something that you're looking forward to before the year ends?
Black Panther, Avatar. Yep.
Okay. Uh,
Done.
as far as horror goes, definitely we're going to see it tomorrow. That's part of the reason that we're recording on a Wednesday.
Oh, for horror? I thought we were
yeah.
just talking about in general. Oh, for horror. VHS 99.
Okay.
I like the VHS movies. And Wendell and Wilds.
Okay.
If that counts.
I guess we'll have to see. For me, it's
and
absolutely
the obvious. Yeah, go ahead.
Halloween Ends.
That's right. That's right. We're
Yeah.
gonna go see it tomorrow.
Yep.
Are you seeing it tomorrow?
I am seeing it tomorrow.
Nice,
Fantastic.
nice.
We're actually in the same theater.
Wouldn't that be great? No,
Probably
I'm
not.
pretty pumped. We went and we saw the original Halloween last week
Nice. It was
in theaters.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was the recent 4K remaster with like the Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and it was nice. It was really good. It was bright as shit at times.
Honestly, yeah, there are times when like it's
That's
like pitch
weird,
black
yeah.
and they're like in the storm and like lightning will flash and it was just like blinding. Like, it was just so white.
Yeah.
It really set the mood. Like I really felt like I was like, oh yeah, remember when this movie is scary? You know, instead of just a blast to watch because we've like binged it so many times.
Yeah.
You merely adopted the dog.
That's right.
But no, great stuff. But we're of course here today to talk about a film that came out, like I said, a few years ago, La Llorona. For a little bit of background, of course, on the actual folk figure of La Llorona, for those of you that don't know, it's said to be a woman, Maria, sometimes apparently called Luisa, who was with a man, a wealthy man. She was poor. He was very wealthy. She was beautiful. And they got together, got married, had kids, and she eventually, found him with another woman who was younger, and, stricken with grief and rage, decided to go and drown his children in a river. And then, when she realized what she did, she was overcome with grief from it, and now she haunts the land in search of people who respond to her cries, but especially children. And that's sort of the little bit of the background of La Llorona as a folk figure from horror. The legend actually goes back to around like the 1600s, which I thought was really interesting. But that's sort of the very broad strokes background of the folk story itself. Our film, La Llorona, if you don't mind us jumping on in, is from 2019. The premise is an aging paranoid war criminal protected by his faithful wife faces death while being haunted by ghosts of his past. It is directed by Jairo Bustamante. It is written by Jairo Bustamante and Lisandro Sanchez. It stars Maria Mercedes Coroy as Alma, Sabrina de la Hoz as Natalia, Julio Diaz as Enrique, and Maria Talon as Valeriana. And since Nick, you were the one who turned us on to this bad boy, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, so this was my one of my favorite horror films of that year. This movie is just awesome. It's scary. It's smart. It's got a strong message without being. It's it's the way a movie should delivers its message through its visuals, and it's not so much talking and explaining like this is what the movie is about to you. Like it's you understand what the movie is about, not just from like the story, but like I said, predominantly through just what is shown. Um, so I think what's really cool about this movie is that it's like a macabre wish fulfillment for people like this war criminal who it's just dictators and people like that throughout history. It's like the kind of comeuppance you wish they would have. Maybe if it's not like directly like physical violence, it's the hope that these people like live with and are haunted by the guilt and like the victims. um so that's like the kind of ghost story it is, like a righteous kind of vengeful ghost story. Yeah. it, it's like the haunted house turned on its head because
Yeah.
the house is this war criminal's mansion that
Mhm.
he is like on house arrest for.
Yeah.
And it's haunted not by like, oh, get out of my house type ghosts, but the ghosts of all the people whose deaths he caused.
Hmm.
um which of course would largely predominantly be indigenous people,
Yeah.
particular indigenous women in this film.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like they shows like how the women around him suffer, even uh the people in his family, his mother, his wife, um not so much that the film like leaves them off the hook, and says, oh, these people are innocent, because they're not in their own ways. um but it just really shows that stuff just leads to suffering when you're an evil person like that.
No, absolutely. So this was essentially another one like Barbarian that I essentially decided let's wander into it blindly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all I knew was your recommendation of it. I didn't really have a firm grip on the plot. I had never seen a trailer, never really even seen an image. The only, La Llorona popular mainstream movie that I had been familiar with was the other one that had come out that year.
Yeah. The Curse of La Llorona.
Which
Wow,
is
convenient.
not at all the same kind of experience of a movie.
Well, one's really bad and one's really
Guess which is which.
We'll figure out by the end.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But I just kind of went right on into this thing, and so when it got going, I was like, I don't have a clue what we're in for, really. And it was really,
it's quite the opening scene.
yeah, it's quite the opening scene. It is so instantaneously gripping.
He gets the gun.
And the movie also just is, when you have no idea what to expect, you can just get so blown away by it. And to your point, I think that it is so smart in how well it sets up this really unique idea of what a haunting is, while still holding true to everything that a good ghost story does. But it also, like you said, never holds holds anyone's hand throughout that story. You know, you have to decide how you feel about the characters. You know, it's not, no one comes in and goes, you know, no one goes out and goes, we need to fetch a priest, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
he comes in and
Yeah.
goes, you're being haunted, you know. You know, we don't get any of that sort of fluff. You know, it truly allows it to be about the characters and who these people are
Yeah, if I could,
beyond the context of the haunting.
yeah, if I could interrupt you for like a sec,
Yeah.
what's so cool, like I said, how it takes like the kind of setup you're familiar with a haunting, like, oh, this spirit is threatening not just him, but like, oh, the family, you know. Um, but even in like hauntings like that, where it's like, oh, you know, it's because of me, because I'm a bad person, I put my family in danger. But this isn't like some guy who's like an alcoholic or like, you know, like something like that. Like this is like an irredeemable, like mass genocide producing like evil person
Yeah.
who
That's
this
right.
is
That's
happening
right.
to.
Hitler
And it's
levels.
his, and it's his family. And like I said, you know, like there's it just in the way it's framed, like, and it's not exactly sympathy. It's just
No.
like the reality of how they're affected, you know,
No, and
by his
that's
actions as well. Yeah.
I'll let you give us your thoughts on it. What did you think, dear?
Oh, I really enjoyed this movie. Again, like going into it blind was just like such a rush, you know, that you hit that opening scene and you see Grandpa General go in and open his gun chest because he hears some woman crying and goes for the hunt in his house like Tomb Raider style. It's fantastic, and I had no idea what was going on. This is literally the first thing that you see, and I was like, Grandpa's got the gat. What's gonna happen? It was like how we walked into this film. And it just, I love the way that this movie unfolds into all of the political aspects of it, all of his actions, and how, you know, like you both have said, you know, it's affecting everybody, but at the end, he's still this like delusional old man, and persists that like what he did was justified, and like, you know, he had no idea about all of that negative stuff and blah blah blah. You know that it's the lie that he's been saying for so long that at this point, you know, maybe with his dementia, he might actually believe it's true.
You
But
don't even
this,
need dementia for people like that. You don't even need
Yeah.
dementia.
no,
The lie
honest.
becomes the truth.
Oh yeah, exactly, exactly. Honestly, and like the fact that the his wife is completely devoted to him still and has blinded herself to literally all of the facts. You know, even they do a whole trial, and you know she's like, nope, definitely my main squeeze. He's got his faults, but like I'm not going anywhere. And like I loved this whole you know, motif with this family of the, you know, the dynamics between this mother and daughter relationship and this daughter and father relationship of how she's realizing who her parents were, you know, now as an adult, and like re basically like going through the files of her memories and realizing all of the signs that were already probably there, that because she was a child and because they were as wealthy as they are and he was as successful as he was, like, you know, those things never touched them. This was the first time that these actions are truly affecting them, and it's affecting them in a literal sense of not only the living survivors being outraged, but also, you know, this attraction of these spirits led by La Llorona. It's just really interesting, and like I think that the casting is phenomenal. This movie was just, it was impossible to look away. And like I loved the fact that I truly thought that they were gonna put like some gag on her, you know, like they were gonna make her super spooky looking or something, you know, like paint her face white, you know, do some grunge stuff, you know, where she's the ring woman like coming out, you know, really twitchy and crazy looking. And the fact that it wasn't that, it was all of these other ways that the haunting was enveloping them, which was other than the fact of it being like truly some horrifying creature. The horrifying creature they lived with their entire lives, she was just a product of it. And I think that that was really interesting, that she still got to keep her pureness and her beauty in spite of the actions that like he had wrought on her and her people. I really enjoyed this movie a lot.
She is like she is one particular victim, and at the same time, she's all of them.
Hmm.
Exactly,
Is
yeah.
what it is. Like,
Yeah, she's like a spokesperson for them. I loved the scene where the daughter is like holding up the wanted poster of this missing person, and she looks out, and the man is standing there staring back at her with this like blank but also like very angry face. And that's his picture on the flyer, and it's this kind of moment for her to realize that like something's off here in a way that like can't be described. And I think that that's truly an interesting moment. This movie has a lot of like quiet, interesting, introspective moments, which all lead to the fact that the general was a horrible, horrible man, and it's really just like kind of uncovering this for the family, and having them like also learn who he truly was, and him getting his just desserts.
Well, and even though it is a home and house arrest, I think that, the movie also does do a good job of making the haunting and their situation and the house itself feel very much like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
They can't leave. It is day and night, you know. And I think that and the house doesn't really feel cozy or warm,
Mm-hmm.
it at times feels a little bit sterile.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's also really interesting is how um they also just make it feel that very closed off. Some movies set in a mansion, the mansion can definitely feel palatial.
Mm-hmm.
um and I think that they give it a realistic context for the setting for who these people are. They would live in a good home. It's not like they're trapped in like a shithole. But it does, I think, have that claustrophobic feeling, that sense of this being a punishment for this man. And you mentioned also The Ring and The Grudge and that sort of thing. And one thing that I did really enjoy was how I feel like he made little almost hints to um, some of the storytelling or some of the visual elements of Japanese horror and Korean horror and that sort of thing, with some of the moments of her hair in the water, or her hair being blown by the fan. I think it had some of those similar visual sensibilities of the ghosts that are haunting, because that's what those stories are of a certain level, right? Or ghost stories. Um, and hauntings. And I thought that it was really interesting that there were moments that it did feel almost vaguely reminiscent of that sort of thing, especially her in like the white gown. Since the ring girl wanders around in like that white dress.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that it was also really interesting how he wove in definitely some similar visuals to other really powerful haunting horror films as well.
No, yeah, honestly, this movie, I had a thought and it's gone now, so I'm just gonna stop talking.
Nick, you have anything you
Fantastic.
want to throw in?
Man, there's just it's a great movie. Good movie.
No, honestly.
I like you cannot, as Lauren said, you like cannot look away, and that is also part of the point is that you can't look away from the stares of the protesters turned into like the victims, like turned the faces of the victims kind of thing. The point, like I said, it's a wish, it's a kind of wish fulfillment
Hmm.
for what you'd hope for people like this, what would happen to
Mm-hmm.
them, how their punishment would be. Like it'd be a very fitting punishment to be driven steadily insane and have your life ruined by your actions.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's such a like sweet age that like everybody in your family just brushes it off as like, oh, you've got dementia.
Hmm.
It's not real, sweetie. You're fine. And he can run around being like, no, I definitely hear a woman crying. Like, why doesn't anybody else hear it? And they're all like, take your medicine, Grandpa. It's fine. So I think it's kind of like this, like, you don't get to have that peace. You don't get to fall asleep and that be like how you die. You have to
Mhm.
suffer as they did, in these
You
last
die
moments.
scared and alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what's also really interesting, two things. You mentioned, having to watch things and not being able to look away, and that also becomes the literal fate of his wife.
Mm.
She goes to sleep and is forced to see the truth.
Mm.
Um, and her haunting and how it's being affecting and how it's affecting her is being displayed through this perpetual sort of raw state of her eyes, that's pretty unsettling to look at, at times, because it looks like her eyes are fucked. But then on top of that, what I also wanted to bring up was what was really interesting going into this blind and not having a clue what the fuck it was about, was then also realizing that it tied in directly to one of the movies that we did for September, for Hispanic Heritage Month, El Norte.
Okay.
Uh, the reason that our main characters in El Norte are fleeing is they are Mayan, or they are Guatemalan indigenous people. And they are part of the genocide in 83, 84, that
Yeah.
sends them on the
Okay.
journey north.
Yeah.
And so it was really fascinating to, just by pure throw of a dart, land on a movie that tied literally right directly into
Yep.
a modern day movie about the consequence of those actions, because El Norte came out in like 84, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like contemporaneous to the events of that
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's more of like a historical kind of drama
Hmm.
as opposed to this, which is it's fictional,
Yeah.
based on a real person and a real event.
It's really fascinating
That
also, like looking at history through this kind of lens of, somebody else's story from another continent. That we don't get to get those stories here because we're too busy learning about our own stupid history. Um, but it was really interesting, to see these parallels of the American experience over there. These horrible genocides, this racism. A lot of these things that are still stemmed in culture, and it just kind of it was fascinating to see like how wide sweeping that is. You hear about it, but it's really, even to up until this is modern. Other, I feel like, I guess because of the fact that it feels so long ago here, even though we're still dealing with racism today, but we're not dealing with it to the extent of people being mass murdered in the streets, and this war crime being considered like oh yeah, we were just looking for rebel forces. um Having this is so close. It really brings everything into perspective. And to your point, it was also very helpful to see this movie after watching that one, because I had a lot of questions about what was going on as the conflict in that movie, because technically, like, it wasn't the full focus
Hmm.
of the film. It was them journeying to El Norte, to the north. But again, this movie was fascinating. I really enjoyed also just all of the visuals as well, the costuming, the casting, everything
Yeah.
fit really nicely to the point where you could just like completely forget that you were watching a film.
Yeah. So Nick, if you had to give this bad boy a rating out of 5, what would you give it?
oh yeah, it's a 5, dude. Dropping the 5
Yeah. All right.
for
Dear.
sure.
All day, every day, I'm putting my Lincolns down. It's a 5.
No, I'm gonna go for a 5 as well.
Woohoo!
I could have gone plot twist. I'll give it a Lincoln. A 1. No, I'm only kidding. No, it's a
Terrible
5.
film.
Absolutely. Incredible stuff. Really accessible, resonant.
hmm
I think that it also, kind of like last week's movie, The House of the Devil. I think that it does a great job of building tension and atmosphere, throughout the duration of the movie that pays off in spades. Much better here than it did in that movie. That movie sort of whiffed on the ending, but this movie nailed it.
No, honestly, I also love the fact that they took this, this old, this folklore, this legend,
And gave it a twist.
yeah, and really, and it worked perfectly. If we hadn't looked up who, like, the lore of La Llorona, I wouldn't have thought that it wasn't this.
Hmm.
It is this, but it's this with a
Yeah,
twist.
it's not necessary to like know your La Llorona mythology
No, not
Mhm.
at all.
to get into this.
Because it's a timeless kind of story.
Hmm. Um, well, and also what's interesting, I will say, what's interesting about the actual history of the myth is that it also does come from a time of colonialism and of like the difficulty of, women choosing to be with Spanish men and that sort of thing in that time and that sort of thing.
I just thought about something as well. Technically we have two La Lloronas in this movie. We've got the actual spirit woman, Alma, but we also have his wife, who is, this woman who is on the other side of the unfaithful husband
Mm,
aspect of the story, and is the crying woman, but for different reasons.
Mm.
No, that's really fair.
I
That's
think
very
that's also
true.
why she's probably used as the doorway to see
As
what's
the
going
yeah,
on,
hmm
because they have similar experiences.
it sort of bridges the gap of where the myth is weird about like punishing the children.
Oh
And
yeah,
instead, it bridges the fact that both the woman who is being taken advantage of and the wife should both be, jointly and rightfully, pissed at the husband.
yeah.
Interesting. Thoughts, processes, yes.
It's good.
It's
art.
We can do this all night.
No, honestly. But sadly, we actually cannot. We already talked a little bit about some of the things that we have been watching. Here's a movie that I meant to bring up, coming out not I think this year, but the trailer just dropped for it today. Megan,
Yes.
have you seen the trailer for it?
I have seen the trailer for Megan.
What are your thoughts on Megan?
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, no, like I'm
Why
game
not?
for it. It looks goofy, but like I'm game for a good ride.
No, I mean,
Always.
it's Chucky with a twist. Let's do it, guys.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. I like the goofy stuff. Give it to me.
Yeah, not of course modern horror, but like one of my favorite horror experiences this year, and you can learn more about it when we talk about them later and Nick joins us again. The slasher extravaganza, so many of these old slashers just get fucking silly at times, and it's an absolute blast when it goes to those places, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's bright and colorful and fun, but they're also like, yeah, I'm gonna stab you 20 times in the chest. Like it's a good time.
Yeah.
I,
So more.
Yeah. I would go. I saw a few more movies. I watched The Sea Beast on Netflix.
Okay.
It's an animated film. This is from the director of, he's one of the co-directors of Moana. He directed Bolt, I think. He directed Big Hero 6. Anyway, he
Wow.
left Disney. A lot of people left Disney. He left Disney. This is his first like big movie since then. It's really
Okay.
good. It's really
Nice.
good.
Hell yeah.
um, there's a film called Hundreds of Beavers. I don't even know how to describe this thing. This thing is a black and white 19th century set like slapstick in the vein of like Buster Keaton, like Charlie Chaplin, like Looney
Interesting.
Tunes
Okay.
type shit. It's amazing, to
What's it
be
called
honest.
again?
Like hundreds of beavers.
Okay.
I saw this at a film festival. I don't know when it will like come out officially. Um, but it was amazing.
I mean, with a title
Like I
like
mean,
that,
like
you know,
it's literally that. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like the Buster Keaton ridiculous slapstick stuff. Um, I watched the Hellraiser movies for the first time.
Okay, what'd you
I
think?
never I never seen. Well, I didn't watch. I watched the first two. It's not at all what I thought it was about. I have. I thought these movies were like mostly like the Cenobites, like they make it seem like the Pinhead and all that. And I love that the first movie like isn't about them that much at all. They're not in it really all that much. It's
fascinating.
about this. It's about this undead guy trying to get like his old flame to bring him back from the dead by bringing him like people to kill. It's like a little. It's fun,
Interesting.
crazy, practical like gore stuff. That's really impressive. And the rest is like kind of like almost like early Tim Burton esque, like
Ugh,
like nasty fun. You know what I
I'm
mean?
ready.
Interesting.
So I like that. The second one kind of reminded me of Halloween 2 in a way where like it really only works as like a direct follow up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like literally this movie came out like exactly a year after. It picks up immediately following the events of the first. And just kind of keeps like the energy rolling. Like by itself, it's like I don't think it works. But as a direct follow up, it's still fun. I didn't watch any
Okay.
of the other ones. I watched the new one that just came out.
Okay.
Um, and that one I thought was pretty like a nerd.
Okay.
Just not fun.
Interesting.
It's probably taking it too seriously, as they do.
I guess. Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm excited,
Uh,
honestly.
The interesting movies.
Okay. It's one that's definitely on our radar. We just when to find the time.
Yeah, as we go through this
Yeah.
slasher extravaganza list.
Yeah, we've gotten up to the beginning of all the remakes and prequels of Texas Chainsaw. That's where we're at right
Yeah.
now in that franchise. So, we'll see how that goes. We just did the first remake, with Jessica Biel.
Yeah, with Jessica Biel.
Find out more about that
That
later
is-
this year.
That is
Month.
a movie
Yeah,
That-
month.
is lodged in my brain forever.
Is it because of Jessica Biel?
Well, that's part of it, I guess.
Fantastic.
we'll
She's really good in that movie.
yeah.
No,
Um,
no, yeah.
But that's, I guess, pretty much all that we have for y'all. I don't think that I necessarily have anything else planned. We've got a recording coming out from a discussion that Henry and I had. Um, No, I don't think that I really have anything else. Nick, I do have one thing else. The film buds are currently in the process. He's living with us right now. We're currently trying to adopt a fur friend. I posted a picture of him on the film buds Twitter. His name is Santana. He will definitely not come out right now. He's the shyest son of a bitch I've ever met.
Oh yeah, he spends 99.999% of his time underneath our tables.
But he's slowly opening up and coming into his own, and
Just a baby.
yeah, he's gonna eventually, show up more often.
Yeah, hopefully.
But right now he's tucked away.
Hmm.
But
He's like currently in the curtains.
yeah, watching us diligently.
Always, always.
But that's, other than that, all that we have. Nick, would you like to tell the people where they can find you?
Can find me on notfest.com and discussingfilm.com as well.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's just about all that we have for y'all tonight. Dear, do you have anything?
I'm plumb out of things.
Well, then I guess we'll wrap up. Thanks as always, you guys, for listening. Come back next week as we continue our plunge into horror. It's going to be a good time. I don't think that we have a guest for this for next week's episode, but who knows? I could change that. So stay in suspense.
That's right.
And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.